This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime, BroTime, BroTime.
Yeah, I was about that 2% life at the
That's
real
well, yeah.
house.
As soon as I
for
moved
sure.
out, I did that.
Yeah.
Well, my best friend, I mean, his parents down the street had whole milk, and I was just
Oh.
like, I grew up with fucking 2%.
Monster.
When you still have butter in there,
I grew
huh?
up with skim. I go over there, I'm like, fucking just like have
drinking
a fucking,
cottage cheese.
Like spread it
yeah,
on
drinking
toast.
cottage
Jesus.
cheese. Fuck.
Yeah, whole milk is an experience. After you, like if you
Fucking-
haven't having it.
Yeah, like fucking
like,
Red Label.
oh.
I mean, Red Label.
It's the Marlboro Reds. fucking milk. Oh, this
Cowboy
is what
Killers.
milk is?
Red
Goddamn.
Label. Don't fuck with the Red Label.
BroTime.
BroTime. Good
No
stuff.
drug test yet.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
We'll edit out all that bullshit about that.
Yeah. You look tan.
I have been walking dogs outside.
Yeah, I was God, man.
Mandy said that the other day too,
Yeah.
and I was like, "No, I don't." And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Oh, I've just been
Yeah.
outside."
You got that Saturday, Sunday
I
vibe,
know.
man. God damn,
I
girl.
put sunscreen on my arms the
That's
other day.
vintage Shaw. That's
Yeah.
vintage patio
That is,
Shaw.
yeah. I got my patio skin on now.
There you
yeah.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
dude.
Arizona's
That's
shining through
literally.
you.
That's so funny that you said that. Mandy said the same exact thing to me the other day. So I have this incredible story. I won't take very long because it's completely off our topic for today, but I have to tell
we don't
you.
want that to happen.
No,
We don't
no
tangent on
tangents.
anything.
Okay, so you know how last week I was telling you that I started the biography of Betty Ford?
Yes.
And how it is an incredible book. It's
Yeah.
by Lisa
Yeah,
McCubbin.
yeah.
Okay, so I fell in love with this woman so quickly, and I felt a connection and a resonance to her story like a few times in my life before.
Okay.
And within the first couple chapters, I find out we have the exact same birthday, and I can't tell you how many times I've like looked up like historic famous people online. That April 8th,
Right.
and it's like me and like Hitler's on the 10th or something like that. Like
Vanessa Redgrave.
yeah,
The,
that's
like,
a good one though.
Dude, that's like an 800-year-old female actress.
Oh, she's
like,
great. She's a legend. So
That's
anyway,
so cool.
so the only other person that was like one of my favorite stars from Buffy.
Yeah.
That was the only other person. And so I had found out that she had my same birthday, and I started listening to the audiobook, heard that, and I started to cry. And I was just like, that was like my confirmation that like something was special was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I felt a really good connection and whatever. So I've been outside dog walking.
Uh-huh.
And the dog walks I've been taking, I have been noticing every time I was listening to that audiobook while I was walking dogs, I would have these butterflies around me all the time, these little white and yellow butterflies.
Oh.
And so in my head, I was just kind of like jokingly, I was like, oh, it only happens when I'm listening to the Betty audiobook, so it's probably Betty just coming to say hi. And so I would like stop the dogs and just be like, hey, Betty, and just kind of continue on. And it was just kind of my own little, like, I didn't tell anybody about it. And then
till now.
Till now. But so it's a 15-hour audiobook. So
Oh, that's a good one.
I
for you.
loved every
It's like
minute
the
of it.
DOS boot of
but
audiobooks.
it is thick with information. So it took me like a week and a half to finish.
Yeah.
And so with literally every day I am walking these dogs, Monday through Thursday, I would turn a corner and there would be undoubtedly a butterfly. And I get to the very end of the book, and the author put in her afterword her process of writing. And she said, as she was writing this book, she talked to Susan Ford, which is Betty Ford's daughter.
Okay.
Susan Ford Bales, former first daughter. Their first conversation together, it was like 2 hours. And as she was walking her out, there was a butterfly above them that flew in a figure 8, which 8th is her birthday.
All right.
And so she was like, well, isn't that nice or whatever. And then throughout the writing process, these little white and yellow butterflies would come to her window or would come
man.
outside her window. And I had told no one about this, and I had to pull the car over because I was crying so hard. So I was just like, this is
Wow.
insane. And for like the way the biography was, it was not a personal, like it was a very straightforward, professionally done biography. So to have this little 4-page story at the back was like really special. And so I had this really strong impulse. I'm like, I should look her up. I bet she's got a website. And I send her an email. Mm-hmm. And I just told her about the whole thing and, thanked her for such a beautiful book that she wrote. And she fucking wrote back to me. And she didn't just write back to me. She sent me an email, like a full-length email about, like, how her son and daughter-in-law used to live in Seattle. They love the Edgewater, blah, blah, blah. And started telling me about all these other little synchronicities that would happen as she was writing the book, that Betty would send her, like, newspaper clippings with, like, a small town that she grew up in that Betty had an article in, but then at the back of the paper was like the house that she grew up in. It was the sale of the house or something like that. Like just crazy shit that would happen. And so she goes, so I took the liberty of forwarding your email you sent to me. I sent it to my editor, who my editor initially, I was worried that was going to make me take that part out of the book because it was too personal. Okay. And then he wrote her an email saying it was too personal, but it was beautiful and you need to put it in there. So she sent an email to her editor, who sent an email back saying, like, this is why we do this. And then she sent one to Susan Ford Bales, former first daughter, read my email, sent back a response, and said that it made her shed a tear.
Oh, my goddamn.
So Susan Ford Bales knows who Kinsey Shaw is.
That's so cool.
And it was just the coolest fucking week of my life.
That's
and
great.
It was, and this woman is like a #1 New York Times bestseller, like written about the Kennedys and what, like she's just incredible. And I had this whole...
Wow.
So now I have to get a Betty Ford tattoo with the butterfly is my story. On my chest.
So that's
and if you have not read that book by Lisa McCubbin, pick it up. It's so good.
Gonna need to be tattooed on the yabo.
That is. That's going right on there. Wow, that's fucking cool.
It was the coolest. Damn. It was just the coolest thing. And so this whole week I was like, I'm not going to text the boys. I'm going to wait to the podcast because this is a zen moment.
That's very cool.
It was dope as hell.
Damn. Man, those butterflies.
Man.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like a Disney princess.
I did. Yeah. And it was so like in my head.
Like
I don't know
Disney
why
princess.
I like associate. I could have just been listening to the audiobook and been like, oh, isn't that nice? A butterfly. It's springtime. But in my head, my brain was like, oh, no, that's Betty. And I just.
There's your intuition.
So Betty Ford's my guardian angel. We never met. Oh, man. But we're birthday twins.
There you go.
We're 69 years apart. And I know she'd find that as funny as I do.
Well, see, I mean, what's clear to me is you obviously tell the story with a lot of detail. I'm willing to bet the email had that detail too, right?
The email she sent me had, like, I mean, pages of stories of what this author had gone through while she was writing the book. Like not just butterflies, but, connections with, people that send her things. And
it's cool that the person actually reads their email, but obviously,
that's what I thought.
Obviously you respond to that one versus the penis enlargement pill and the I earned $100,000 over the weekend.
Robin, it was 2 days before she sent me a response back, and in those 2 days, I kept thinking, I was like, oh God, I hope she writes me back. I hope she writes me back. And I was like, just be prepared. It's going to be like, thank you so much for enjoying the book.
Auto reply.
Auto reply 1,000%.
Secretarial signing.
But it was so clear that she sat down and took time to write a very personal, sincere response.
And I don't even know this person. Wow. She got more than I do going on. So
and
I don't even respond to my motherfucking email.
No, she's got things going on. She isn't. Man. She's got
That is so
with
cool.
Simon and Schuster, and like the editor for Simon and Schuster read my email. And so I'm like looking back at it, I was like, how many typos were in that? How many grammatical errors were in that?
No fucking shit.
Yeah, you just made the Christmas card. Exactly. Look at this broad.
Yeah, seriously, like those reasons why you go to school.
Look at the peasants trying to write.
Yeah, turn off spell check on Word. I had a guy tell me that, like in high school when I worked at Starbucks. He's like, you guys got it. You guys should. He's like, you should turn off spell check on Microsoft Word. He's like, I turn it off.
Why?
So then you fucking actually have to proofread your shit.
Oh, then you can see it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was like, no, I need the help.
Well, because when
restaurant is hard for me.
But that was the whole thing. It's like,
know when the AU comes in.
See, like, I don't really know how to spell shit anymore, though. You really don't, though. You really don't know how to spell your shit anymore. Because, like, I personally will type, and then if it's, like, comes out squiggly line, I'm like, that's fucked up. It looked wrong. I appreciate you double checking. I'm like, there it is. And that's just me swapping a U or whatever, but it's... you don't actually you don't have to learn how to spell. Same reason why I'm sure generationally we're just not doing math.
Well, it's
as
like
much.
we don't need to remember phone numbers anymore. I used to remember everybody's phone number, but now that we don't have to, I mean, I can't remember last time I wrote like a meaningful essay or email, and I was very aware of it as I was writing. I was like, why can't I make words happen in the right order? I'm sending this to a New York Times bestseller. I don't want to misspell your.
I went through a time, yeah, right, exactly.
Why you are is your.
I went through a time between when I quit my last restaurant job and really started to get traction with the new stuff I was working on. I was kind of intermittently working, but I was doing a lot of yoga, but not a lot of admin work. And then I found when I would do admin work and I'd have to write something, remembering how to write was really awkward. And I'm like, how long has it been? Like 2 weeks since I've used this utensil? You know, it was just,
and my hand will get tired instantly.
Yeah.
Like it just ends. I'm like, I gotta take a break after that sentence.
Oh, my admin shop. So when we worked together, we did enough of admin to where it was actually pretty good. Now I'm probably not as bad as I was before I started working in that capacity, but I'm right back to the clerical exam shit. I could probably do better on the clerical exam.
Yeah.
That was fucking weird. That was weird. I had to take a fucking test at a place how to use Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word and shit.
Fail.
No,
I'm a fail.
Well, no, see, you'd be amazed. I know how to use that shit, but you'd be amazed. On the test version, you hover over the icons and they don't fucking tell you what that shit does. So that's the only difference. If you're doing Excel, all that bullet pointing, isn't that how you make fucking bullets?
Yeah.
But you would hover over it and be insert bullets.
Right.
On the test, it doesn't do that shit. So I'm oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
I do.
Rigged.
Oh, yeah,
Did
most
you have
definitely.
to do that when you
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's
not. I respect the vetting process, but I'm holy fuck.
You really gotta know.
It's one thing. I mean, I put all that shit on my resume. Excel, which is true, especially Excel, but it's don't ask me to make a formula.
Oh, I worked with a guy one time that put on his resume that he...
for the listeners at home right now,
my
Kinsey fucked up her
Betty,
mic stand.
no, I didn't even touch it. Betty did that.
This guy put on his resume that he was a computer programmer at his previous job, and he helped program all these spreadsheets and all this shit for the restaurant that he worked at, and all this whiz-bang stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the things at Jillian's at the time that we were looking for. All of our
let's
management
go.
team were really strong with that. And he gets in there, and I was a junior manager at the time. I was maybe been doing it for less than a year, right? So I'm still figuring shit out, but I know some stuff that Jillian's crash course, kind of Red Hook, right? You work a weekend there, and it feels like you've worked a decade in a normal restaurant,
Yeah.
And so, but this guy comes in, and so I'm training him, and I'm like, okay, so here's the spreadsheet. People turn in their things. You put it in the spreadsheet. He's like, cool. All right, so here's the turn in. This is Michael. Type in Michael's name, and he goes, okay. And he he put chicken pecking to shame.
No.
He was looking, and then he'd hit a button, and he'd look, and he'd look, and he put his glasses on, and I'm like, what computer programmer? What are you talking about? And he was writing spreadsheets and shit.
Did you ask him about that?
100%. Well, once I I shouldn't say comfortable. Once I got frustrated enough with the man, which was about a week into it. I finally called him on. I'm like, you're fucking bullshit, aren't you? He's like, hey, I was part of the team that did it. I'm like, you're part of the team that did it. Okay. You said on this, I saw your goddamn resume because I applied for your job too, motherfucker. So I know who you are. I know what you put on your shit. And then you're going to tell me that you were on the team. You were the guy that went and got a coffee for the people that did the programming of the thing. That's cool.
But hey, I'm on the team.
Exactly. Right. So... whatever. Things
chicken.
It's my worst fear is being caught in a lie I put on my resume.
We all lie on our resume.
I'm not so hubris that I would lie about something like that.
So what started? Well, I mean, what started that was I put Excel on the fucking resume, and that's still on my resume. But it's again, I can't do formulas, but I can do Excel.
Yeah,
it's a half truth.
There's levels to it,
but definitely sitting there saying you were on a team that did programming and shit is a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Just be like, I have tons of experience with it. That'll do.
Probably till about maybe 10 years ago, I thought C++ was just another plus if you were grading in school. I'm like, fuck, when did we add?
We're trying to really make those C++ers make better, feel better.
When the fuck did that smart kid need even more validation?
A++.
Fuck.
God.
Oh, but what y'all said earlier about the math, are we even teaching math anymore? It's ridiculous the amount of math that kids are still being taught.
Yeah.
Like my kids are in math, and not only are they doing math, they're still requiring all the levels, even though we all have the pocket phones.
Yeah. No, you
Calculators.
should learn fucking algebra.
Totally, but
Yeah,
no, but they're
algebra's
like
useful.
trigonometry, like all that shit.
Oh yeah, no,
But-
you don't need to know the area of fucking shelled spaces on a graph,
It's
like
crazy.
unless
like
you're.
if you want to get there, then
Go
get
for
there,
it.
right? But what's interesting to me is that most schools are teaching Common Core math now, which
Yeah,
is like
that's
the
some new
tic-tac-toe
fucked
math.
up-
You know, it's like all the lines.
I've seen
lines.
videos on YouTube where some dude
It
does
is
it old school the
bonkers.
way I fucking know, and then the chick is
Yeah.
doing Common Core. Granted, she's explaining it, so it's a bit but it takes like 3 times longer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't see the benefit of like that much of a workaround. I could see if it's like, okay, so this workaround is also going to teach you that these numbers are coexisting with these other numbers in some kind of way.
It's supposed to teach you factoring. Is that basically
I'm
what it's
not
supposed to teach
really
you?
sure.
I mean,
So what
if
is this
they
Common
taught
Core
it
bullshit
as-
for? What is that for? Like
As
solving
like a different
just
way to
multiplication?
learn math. Like if your
Multiplication,
brain
big
works.
common math.
Well, if your brain works in a way that makes sense, like that should be acceptable.
Right.
But if it's not, then any other way should also be acceptable.
Right.
But I don't like when it's like this is the only way to do it.
Yep.
Like if you can get to an answer, then whatever way you did it is great.
Right. And if we're gonna put this much work into teaching a whole new generation a different way of doing math, that's gonna totally bastardize their parents and the older people that are
Yeah,
don't
what about
understand
us?
Well, I mean-
anything
I
what's
mean-
going on. Why don't we take this opportunity to introduce the fucking metric system on
Yes!
a worldwide
Oh,
level,
dude.
right?
Literally, this is the
Why the fuck
perfect
not, right? We're already
time.
fucking shit up. We might as well just throw the fucking
We're-
metric system
hey,
in there and
if
all
you're
get
gonna
on
turn it on
one
its
team.
head, that is a great fucking point.
What a fantastic segue to how we all got introduced into the metric system when we started buying weed.
Yeah, totally.
So the
Yes.
topic today.
man. Grams.
Yeah. How many grams in an
3.5.
ounce? I could tell you.
3.5 grams in an eighth.
Reefer Madness.
Reefer madness.
Well, how about Reefer Madness versus Reefer Madness?
Okay,
Because you
so I
had
haven't,
Reefer Madness
I
in
haven't
the 30s.
seen that movie. I have not seen that movie.
Okay,
I've
so
seen
there's-
parts of it, obviously, in weed
Yeah.
documentaries.
Totally.
Where you guys like, oh, play the piano faster.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's like grabbing his chest
he's like
and
all
stuff,
stoned
smoking
and
his
shit,
joints.
oh,
Like, yeah,
play the piano
faster. Oh my god. Yeah. So there's Reefer Madness, the 1930s, versus current Reefer Madness, which is the complete opposite, where people are just going bonkers
Can't
for
get
weed
enough of
because
it, yeah.
it's now legal in a lot of
Well,
states.
see, I mean, we've
talked about that.
We've talked about
Yeah.
that, but I've been ahead for really, I'd say off and on, but ahead for 20 years now.
Yeah, I'd say about
25
that.
years,
Yeah.
give or take. But it's just like now, I mean, nothing's really changed. It's just a lot easier for me to just kind of own the lifestyle, and I don't need to hide it.
Exactly.
Or shame is not the right word, because shame
No,
is
it's
not the
mainstream.
thing. Yeah, it's
now.
mainstream.
Like
yeah.
you have people in
Tourists,
mainstream
yeah.
positions, whether they're like CEOs of
Yeah.
weed companies
Yeah.
or actors or activist, like people in
Yeah.
public eye are now
entire
like,
West
I
Coast.
smoke weed not as the butt of a joke,
Right.
or even it's just like something that's completely acceptable now.
Totally. And I think that adds a lot to the mental freedom of being able to do that without hiding it.
Yeah.
Without thinking that we're doing something wrong, because subconsciously that fucks with people,
Well,
And so now that we can be more open with that, and like yes, I
can
still
explore
don't
the
want to go
benefits
around
more.
smelling like I rolled out of the blunt, but
Yeah.
like it's okay now. I don't
Right.
have to
Yeah,
like
it's not. I don't
cover
need,
up walking by the cop. Like, hey, how's
I
it
don't
going?
need to, like, for example, like if somebody came into a restaurant just reeking of weed, you probably wouldn't say anything, but it would be like, "Fuck, man, really?"
Yeah.
Like you
Stoner.
smell, like whether you want to put a name, but it's just like, dude, like everybody can smell that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
just because now I'm like, hey, I like the perfume, I make that comment, but like, it's like, oh, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
Well, it's like someone reeking of cigarettes now. Like it's just like
A bit more obnoxious now.
Yeah, but like it's not someone was walking in smelling like something illegal. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, now someone's walking in
Yeah.
smelling like weed. Or
Yeah, it's
walking
not
in
like
smelling
it's not
cigarettes.
like,
it's just like
Adam, Monica, and I and Monica's cousin party fouling at that fucking family fun center. We just showed up just
Family fun
stoned as
center.
fuck, like smoked a blunt in the parking lot, like did not air out, like honestly did it wrong. We were too
would have
fucking
done
old.
it differently.
We were too old to like go in. reeking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's shit you do when you're 19, assholes.
Yeah, no, I was 40.
Or if you, or if you work there.
I just love it, Adam. I was 40. But we fucking go and buy tickets or tokens or whatever, and the fucking nice kid at the front's like, you guys really smell. And we're like, shit.
Well, if
We're
you
just
jump around
sorry,
a
man.
little
We just came here to drive your
tried
go-karts.
to do it outside.
Yeah.
the go-karts will air us out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother part of the story we won't get into. But well, no, but it's funny because I mean, with legal weed, and we do every podcast about this, but we thankfully don't. But like, huge. It was awesome. It still is awesome, but it's like, it is madness, quote unquote, when you compare to like what I flew all the way to Europe to go experience in Amsterdam, like way back in the day, because that's still not legal over there.
Right.
You
And
can
it's
get weed cocktails at places. Now.
yeah, no,
Like,
it's like the whole weed shop experience, and it's different in every state, but it's just like it's very. And even I was just up in Canada where it's nationally legal.
Right.
Kudos to you guys. I think they're the first
for
to
a
really.
lot of things.
Yeah. Canada's got it
Good-
going
good-
on a
good
lot of
job
shit.
on a lot of
You
Yeah,
stuff.
know.
they're doing a lot of good things.
I will say East Hastings in Vancouver, BC is not the nicest. It's probably the worst area I've ever seen in my entire life.
All right, Hastings, you got some catching up to do.
No,
Right,
that's a whole lot.
That's
But
on
it
you,
is-
Hastings.
when you talk, it's on you, Hazy. Yeah. Clock's ticking. But I mean, literally in Amsterdam, I'm sure there's more shit now, but I mean, it was a couple years ago. But it's like it was literally just flour and maybe hash.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the shit you can buy gummy bears, sodas, fucking
Well, I-
solvents,
Vapes,
bath
all,
bombs,
yeah,
fucking.
the bath bombs are dope, man.
Those are fucking
I fucking
baller.
love those
They're
things.
$10 a piece,
Yeah,
but that
they're
shit's worth it,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
We went to a couple places. We were in California for I think it was like an improv festival or something like that. So a bunch of us went to go to a weed store in California, and they're not even as good as the ones here. Like they
Yeah.
have, this
They're-
is our
they're-
strain. We have 8 different kinds, and that's what we have to offer. And it's a very
Where were you in Cali?
maybe like San Diego area, something
Yeah,
like that, maybe.
Well, see, one thing I noticed when I was in
But
Diego
it was
is
not the same kind of vibe. It was
They're-
very
they're-
medicinal, very cold.
they're not as
very-
they're not as prevalent, and they're more out of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that as someone who was in
Right.
San Diego in December, I got in, looked on my phone. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna need to drive 20 minutes out of town. Fine. I went to it was a bit more organized and
Yeah.
sterile and shit. But then they
Sterile
also.
is the word, yes.
But they also, conversely, they had a shitload. For me, they had the same level of variety I'm used to, but they also had shit because the states are different. They had shit we can't get.
Yeah.
We can get whatever we want up here, and we still can't get what they got, and vice versa.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Oregon has, like, their gummies can be as strong as 100 milligram, which is 10 times what
Holy
we can
shit.
sell here.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're cheap as fuck. Like, they're
power.
the same price,
Yeah.
and they're 10 times stronger.
Damn.
There's like a weed delivery service that
A lot of that in California.
that is now popping up.
And
on-
I think we're
That's
probably
fantastic.
It's like
See, I mean,
About damn
I
time.
don't. Me personally, I don't really want to deal with that level because let's be honest. That's going to be just tied into the cost. It
Oh, yeah,
has
totally.
to be.
Yeah,
It has
most
to be.
definitely.
There's
Yeah.
no way it's not. And if there is a way, callers call in.
our phones are lighting up. Yeah, phones are
Phones are
lighting up.
like Kinsey's on the
Whoa,
switchboard.
not everybody at once, people. Go on.
Phones are lighting up. The switchboard. Yeah, we're gonna need to just move Kinsey over to the switchboard now. We're gonna need to switch over. When she gets burnt out, I'll move over to the switchboard. Philadelphia has a lot on this subject right now. So fucking stupid. It is insane though. Like literally, like sodas and all that. It's great though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just typical American excess. We couldn't just take flour and hash and just the standard stuff. Even like when we got into shatter, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Do you remember
Oh,
Dabs
yeah.
the first time
Oh,
we've
yeah.
talked about this?
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Dabs are intense. I've
I've never done one.
done it once, and I felt like.
Too
It
high.
doesn't interest me.
Well, it's not that I felt too high. It's
yeah,
just the whole
'cause-
process of it felt really.
Druggy.
Yeah, it did. I felt like I was doing like smoking crackers.
Yeah.
you know, honestly.
Like,
and it
yo,
just
need a torch for this one. Needs to be
Yeah.
a torch.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I'm cool with just like smoking a pipe, eating an edible, doing some stuff like that.
Well, you know, I'm working on my tolerance because I spent like 6 months.
You make it sound like
I'm
it's just
so
like,
ashamed of it. I literally, I got to a point where I was smoking so much weed that I felt like I couldn't get high anymore. Like it was like during the pandemic. It was just like as much as I could, I was smoking weed, and then
I respect that.
I didn't mean to take a break. I just kind of took a financial break from it for a little bit, and then it just kind of turned into 6 months. And now I'm trying to smoke weed again, and I have to catch myself because I will try smoking it like I used to, and that happened last night where
back when I drank, I fucked that up a couple times.
Yeah, I set up a bong, and I had just a
you
very
even talk
thick...
about it like somebody who never smokes weed.
So you know when you
bong,
put the pipe,
it's a water pipe.
And
is basically what it is. It's a water pipe.
But so I took a hit. And then I walked and made myself an Amy's vegetable lasagna, which Amy's vegetable lasagna is the best microwave lasagna.
That's an all natural jammy with that nice. It's
so good.
They do good mac and cheese too.
They also do good mac and cheese, but that is my favorite thing. And my Safeway
vegetarian brand.
It is,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's vegetarian. But so at my Safeway, they've been sold out of it for months. Like I don't know what the shortage problem is.
Does the Safeway at your neighborhood suck as much as the Safeway in every neighborhood I've been to?
Probably, but it's easy and it has a parking lot, so that's why I go.
Yeah.
That's why I go to the Safeway. So they finally had it this week, and thanks Betty Ford for that. So they finally had it. So I bought like 8 of them and just took everything for me, not to just grab all of them. So I was like very excited about my Amy's lasagna.
Did you respect other people's desires at the grocery store?
I did, yeah.
Good for you.
I was like, I'm not going to take them all.
You skimmed over that part, and I think that's a very important thing about how nice and courteous of a person you are.
Because if I thought,
we love you, Keisha.
There's someone else that also loves this lasagna, which is why it's sold out. I'm not going to take them all. I'm going to take a good chunk, but I'm not going to take them all.
Yeah, let them know you
and
were
I'm
there.
Really just, and I made it in my brain. I'm like, I'm going to savor the ones I have. So I cleared off my schedule for the night. I was going to watch some TV. I took it in my bong, went to go make the lasagna, made the lasagna, came back and forgot I had already taken a hit from the bong. So I took another huge hit.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh shit, this is gonna be bad.
Double bong
and
high.
I got violently high. And I had already eaten my Amy's lasagna. And I sat down next to Mandy and I told her, I was like, I'm just gonna let you know I'm violently high and it's not going well right now. So I just need you to know that. And so
what does violently high mean for you?
Violently high means in my body it feels violent.
Okay,
like
like
time and space are not
like
a
Keith
thing.
Moon's playing a drum solo in your
like in the spins.
Drummer of Who?
Like
Drummer
I
of the
feel
Who.
like I'm on a carnival ride. My whole body's doing somersaults.
Ride?
Oh, just exactly how you feel violent on the teacup ride.
I don't know what that. I'm never gonna find out.
Oh, don't. It's bad. So anyway, I end up throwing up.
Oh, you yorked on Ganj?
Oh, I yakety yacked. Don't come back. All of
don't talk back.
Don't talk back because I'm throwing up. Yeah. So I threw up, and the only thing I could think of was like, what a waste of this Amy's lasagna.
Yeah, right.
Fuck.
I was so angry.
Oh, yeah, you didn't get any nourishment from that.
No. I didn't get it. Was
if
like
it was in there for an hour,
minutes.
hour and a half, 2 hours, you probably would have gone
15, 20
like...
times.
No.
And it was, well, I guess maybe I got to enjoy it twice. I don't know.
Right.
Shit.
I was so angry, so that's why I'm not smoking weed today, because I was like, I need a break. I got so ill last night.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what freedom is.
Yeah. Have you ever threw up after smoking weed before?
Yeah, I've done that when I've made the mistake of smoking a joint after I'd been drinking. That happens to me almost instantly.
Oh, yeah.
I will
double up.
But it has happened to me before. If I smoke too much, too quickly, I will yak for sure.
Wow.
So which is why dabs scare me, because I'm like, that is a guaranteed puke for me, because there's no getting unhigh after that.
Oh no, there's not.
There's no amount of. I tried to like drink a soda, and I was like, this is a bad choice.
You're just holding on for that one.
That conversation with yourself, you're already too high.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, just prepare. This
I'm not
is
that
coming.
high. It's like, oh, you're fucked.
No.
Yep,
I was literally
happening,
thinking to
folks.
myself, like soothing myself, like everything's gonna be all right.
Usually,
you're here on the couch,
were you in
nothing
front of the
bad's
mirror,
gonna
or did you look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're not high? Then you just totally totally
No,
fucked.
I don't
if
think
you have
my
to,
brain
like,
would have
look
been
at
able to
yourself, you're
handle
like,
it.
oh fuck,
Hey,
yeah.
you.
They
No.
know, the cops know.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, fuck, man. You just see, like, in the movies, like, you look in the mirror and then a judge is just there with a gavel.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
A mirror is the last thing I
And
get
it's
that
Judge
that
Reinhold.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, am I looking at myself or is myself looking at me? Like I can't. It's
Yeah.
too many things at that
That's
moment.
awesome. That's awesomely. That sucks, though.
Introspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My poor Amy's
Poor
lasagna.
Amy. God damn it. Have you ever thrown up off smoking too much weed?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
The next morning after I like tied one on, quote, for weed, I felt kind of sick, but I don't think I've ever, no.
Yeah.
I mean, and after I threw up, I felt better, but I didn't know why I felt better. I know
It's
why
just,
after drinking because it gets it out of your stomach
Right,
after
right,
drinking.
yeah.
But like weed, it shouldn't make me feel better to throw up, but it did.
It might like
sobered me up a
entice
little
some kind
bit.
of chemical into your brain.
What's funny
to-
is
Like
it's like
adrenaline or
I think
something?
that you would it's
counteract
just,
all the
I mean,
God,
obviously,
that
if you're
was
too
bad.
high, you're too high, and you get the spins or you're dizzy, and
Yeah.
that is what it is. But it's
Oh,
like
maybe that's what it
weed
was,
is meant to be like an anti-nausea, fucking grounding kind of thing.
Yeah.
For like I mean.
But
Back,
it's also
back in the day when we were
psychotropic, though.
pitching this shit, that was part of it. Like, and we can make rope, and people can eat food with
And-
it,
and-
and people that get sick, it'll make them feel less sick.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I like getting fucking high,
It's never
And make
happened
some
if
good
I
rope.
it only happens when I do it too much too quickly. Like if I smoke a shit ton over a day, but I do it.
Yeah, dabs are
in-
out for you. Dabs
Yeah.
are no go.
Well,
But
it's
I
that-
wonder if it happens to anybody else.
I'm sure it does.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's-
most
let's-
definitely.
Is the switchboard cooled down? Should I reach out to?
Well, it's also, it's a psychotropic, it's a
Yeah.
mild hallucinogenic,
Right,
So,
yeah.
if you get a lot of that in your system and you're sensitive to that, then,
Yeah,
it's going to
makes
have some
sense.
kind of effect on you.
That's a bummer when
Fuck
it
your
happens.
equilibrium up,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever thrown up, but I've like...
Munchie related, maybe, actually, now that I think about it.
For sure I've done that, but that's just because
Oh,
my
yeah,
food
yeah.
could,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
stomach
because
couldn't
I
take any
just
more
like,
food.
apparently you shouldn't have 6 bowls of Special K red berries. It's also a lot of milk.
How big is the bowl, though?
I tried like literally, that was back in high school. I tried like a little like meal replacement. Like, oh fuck, okay, I'm having cereal for dinner. Like, I'm gonna need to have some cereal.
What percent milk did you use?
Oh well, fuck. This is back in. If I was at home, so I was
that's
using
a
that.
good
I was
point.
using
Maybe
that.
it was
I was
lactose
using that shake fucking skim milk that my mom used to
Oh,
give me.
Oh,
skim
yeah,
milk,
the
huh?
water.
Water.
Shake.
White water, huh?
White water.
Yeah, I was about that 2% life at the
That's
real
well, yeah.
house.
As soon as I
for
moved
sure.
out, I did that.
Yeah.
Well, my best friend, I mean, his parents down the street had whole milk, and I was just
Oh.
like, I grew up with fucking 2%.
Monster.
When you throw butter in there,
I grew
huh?
up with skim. I go over there, I'm like, fucking just like have
drinking
a fucking,
cottage cheese.
Like bread it
yeah,
on
drinking
toast.
cottage
Jesus.
cheese. Fuck.
Oh, that's gnarly,
Yeah,
man.
whole milk is an experience. After if you guys have been having it.
Yeah, like fucking red label.
Oh.
You mean red label?
The Marlboro Reds. Fucking milk. Oh, this is
Cowboy
what milk
Killers.
is? God
red
damn.
label. Don't fuck with the red label.
Oh man, I read something earlier about Colorado. So in 2015, I think it was when they legalized weed, or maybe
Same
14.
as
Yeah,
us. Same
yeah.
year.
And
That's right.
2014 maybe.
yeah, I think it was 14. So in 2015, they had made so much money in their taxes that they made so much extra money that they didn't realize. They're like,
I
holy
remember
shit.
hearing about that. Yeah.
And so they put it out to a vote. They said, okay, so Colorado residents, we can either do a rebate where everybody gets money back, or we can put this towards like building schools and improving the state.
Give me that money back.
Now they all voted to say like, hey, let's put it
It's
towards
just fucking.
schools.
It was
and
just
shit,
like because it's all
Gone
just
anyway.
$55 million.
That's
They were just
insane.
like, no, that's cool. Just throw it out there.
I mean, for that reason alone,
build a raging waters.
like for
Purify
people
those lands, man.
in business or government that are so money hungry but like have such conservative views, like even just as a business model, weed seems like a smart choice
Right.
to give your state money.
Yeah.
Like if nothing else, it
One of
will
the
bring in like cold hard cash,
right.
guaranteed.
Well, one of the issues, and that's what's the selling point for a
This
lot of
wood?
people right
Yeah.
now.
It's wood.
It is petrified wood. Yeah.
Ah, ta-da!
Ah, good on
This
you.
is
Yeah.
Fucking found the fucking stone that's not a stone.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
While I was stoned.
Does it feel like
Stone.
one?
Fucking meta.
Meta. Oh, it's heavy. It does feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh shit.
Shit.
Money for states for weed. People should adopt
clams or rods or whatever it is the devil you get. That's Julianne Moore. Big Lebowski.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Reefer
now.
Madness episode.
Reefer Madness, yeah.
Play the piano faster. Play the piano faster. I don't know how much of this podcast.
When was the first time you got high?
First time I got high? Oh, yeah, you go first, Adam.
I was kind of I would say a late bloomer.
Yeah, me too.
I was 17, maybe 16.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, but I didn't drink or anything.
Yeah, I didn't fuck around with anything until I started smoking weed when I smoked weed for the first time at 15.
I'd say 16 probably, yeah.
I was probably in college, for sure, not
Oh,
high school.
nice. That's some
No, I
classic
was a goody-goody. Like,
That's
I
some
didn't
classic
drink
shit,
or
yeah.
do anything. And then I was in college, but I was in Arizona, so I don't even know if that classifies as weed.
Oh,
because
fucking
it's just
Adam can talk to you all about that.
Oh,
shit.
horrible.
And it was always, like, at a party,
Horrible.
so I would always get sick afterwards because I had been drinking. But I don't think the first time I got really high and enjoyed it was until weed was legal here. And then I was like, I'll go buy a joint. And then I realized, this is why people enjoy weed.
I've been very fortunate up here that like we've
y'all
just
have
been
always had
like
good
just
weed.
fucking and basically I for maybe a year bought like skimp sacks off shitty people.
Oh, yeah.
Until you got and then it was just like, oh wow, okay, so never however,
Yeah.
I think it was either his name was Fred at the Chevron.
Oh, Fred.
Yeah, but it's just like I coincidentally also got to smoke weed in the back of a Chevron.
There you
You
go.
know, gonna
Totally.
add that to the but
Hopefully away from the gas tanks.
Yeah, no, it was it was away from the gas stations. They had the machine shop at the time, Let me just set this oil rag down and take a bong hit.
Dude, I worked at a Papa John's one time, and
Oh man, wealth of stories from that Papa John's.
there
Shout
are,
out
man.
Papa John Schnatter.
PJs, yeah. Papa John's in the Woodlands, right? Yeah. I've done a lot of bad shit at the Papa John's, but so there was a manager that worked there, myself, and then there was another guy who was my partner, and so we all had some kind of game that we were running, and when we worked together, I think it was Wednesday night when we shut down Papa John's and we would open up our shop.
Nice.
And the manager was, selling what he sold. I sold what I sold. So we just had, while we were closing the shop down, people would just come in and out and just like slinging shit out the back door there.
Great business model.
It was great.
Great.
Yeah, it was
Great
fantastic.
idea.
Yeah, just stupid kid shit. It's like, hey, you know what? We're all here. There's no cameras, so let's just do this.
God, the days
There's an
before
alley back there.
technology.
Yeah, totally.
Hell yes.
No social media. Just fucking
Got an
slinging
extra
shit out the
pizza
back
line
door.
around?
Oh, fucking see, that's the other thing is like if we grew up in this time with social media, how many of the cool things do you think would get ruined because some asshole was monitoring that at school or high school,
man.
monitoring hashtag weed at school or whatever
Right.
the fuck it
very
is?
grateful.
Because like all the cool spots where you could smoke weed,
Yep.
Yeah,
like that's all concrete at my high school. They remodeled
Yeah.
it.
No, I'm very grateful that we didn't have to go through that.
And deal with all that bully bullshit.
Or social media in general.
Fucked.
Like, I remember logging into Facebook for the first time in college. When
I was
it
in
was
college.
only, you had to have
Yeah.
a college email
Yeah.
Okay,
address.
me too.
And then just being like, obsessed with Facebook. But like,
You had a MySpace though too.
Oh,
So,
1,000%.
So that was my
MySpace.
first thing, but I was already.
But
I
it
wasn't.
didn't feel like social media.
I was in college at the time.
Like it didn't feel
yeah.
everyone had access to it. It
Right.
felt like the people that were my age and my friends had access to it, but it didn't hit me like
I don't really remember
anyone
how that
could
felt.
have access to this.
Yeah.
And now I if I was that age and that as insecure as I was when I was that age, like I would have been just absolutely pummeled with negativity. I think that would have just that on top of the fact that all the stupid shit I would have been caught doing probably.
Yeah, no level of no number of copies of VHS of The Craft would have gotten you out of this run.
Exactly.
Well, to be
Nev
fair,
Campbell
too, like,
can only do so much.
well, to be fair, MySpace, you like
Take my
that. It's not
scars,
as
take my
easy
scars.
as what like social media is now. Like MySpace, you had to put in work.
I didn't
like
I
you had
didn't
to code and
I
shit,
didn't know
right?
how
to code for that
Motherfuckers,
shit.
like
You
if
had
you
to
want a video
want
in
it.
there, you got to watch a
Exactly.
video and learn how to
I didn't
code
know
and
how
then
to do any of
insert that.
shit.
Man,
I didn't know how to do any of that
The
shit.
only thing that
I knew how to enter in
Putting
like
in
the
work.
shit I
social
like.
media was the top 8. The top 8 was
Oh, yeah.
savage
That
because
was,
it was
yes.
that was the only
Yep.
thing that
Yeah,
that
dude.
felt like a social media thing
Yeah,
of like
it was an honor to be friends with Alice in
competitive
Chains.
and yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Pearl Jam was my number one.
Yeah.
I'm totally friends
top
with
Oh
babe
those.
man,
was
picking the
savage.
song that
Right.
played.
Oh,
when
yeah.
people
Oh, that
did
shit would
it,
get so
that was
fucking
my
annoying because you would see
favorite.
this is all shit I forget. You would
Have
go to
my
the photos.
bootlegs.
You go to like somebody's photo and then click back and it would play the song. You go to a photo, click back, it would play the song at the start again. Fucking MySpace.
Fucking MySpace.
Oh man. But you know, it's things like that, like and even so before social
kids
media,
need to be stupid.
but also just introducing ourselves to the opportunity to smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
And it being illegal for so long, we had to find these weird places to do shit out of, right? And so we created a very interesting like memories for a lot of us, you know, because a lot of the like the cool shit we got to do because we were sneaking around trying to find cool places to smoke weed.
It's like Adventures
Like,
in Babysitting. Like it was fun
totally.
because everything went wrong,
Right.
And
It's
that's why
so
we
fun.
remember it.
I think I may have mentioned this on another podcast, but there was that meme that was like me smoking weed in high school, and it's like 3 miles behind the Taco Bell in the woods. Man, I hope the cops don't find us.
Yes.
Me smoking weed now. Me at Target. Oh, fucking, I'll hit my vape pen.
Yeah, right. Totally. Oh my god. Dude.
See, I've never fucking done that. Like, I'll hit
I
the
have.
vape pen before I go
I
into
have.
I've
Target.
done it. I've done it in
Yeah.
stores before. Totally. I'll go in a dressing room, try something on, hit my vape pen, put on some pants.
I'll
wash
hit
it
a jewel
out.
on a plane. I'll hit a jewel on a plane when I'm not in the bathroom. I've literally,
Oh, what the fuck?
literally.
Holy
So
shit.
it's like, so Mandy and I have a whole row. This is a hypothetical situation, TSA. This didn't actually happen. This is just a story. But Mandy and I had a whole row next to us. So there was nobody in between us. And I was in the window and I had my hood up and I was watching a movie and I had my little neck pillow. And if you hold your hit in long enough, nothing comes out. So I would just hit it and hold it in. And I'd just be smoking the whole way to Nashville. The whole way to Nashville, sitting my vape
Just
pen.
like fucking riding the wave of a shitty nicotine
Oh,
buzz.
God,
Hey,
it was
man,
a
do what
bit-
you
I think
do.
it was the danger that I loved.
Right? Yeah.
Such a rush. Oh, so like I used to work
Adrenaline
with a guy
rush.
who served some time. You know, he's just like smoking weed in prison. It was just like, you are so fucking paranoid.
Oh, I
dude.
can
It's just
imagine.
Like, he's like,
Oh, it took all
he's
the
like,
joy
you
out
get
of it.
so high too because it's like whatever it is, it's just like
Right.
you know, a speck of anything will get you high.
Oh my
I know it well. I know it.
Yeah,
I
right.
know
But
it
it's
Dealing
like
with
the
it now.
paranoia though.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was
Smoking
a
weed in your jail cell.
Oh boy!
There was-
And they don't even have vape pens. You can smell it. Oh,
Yeah.
I would.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can smell
totally.
it even before you burn it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would make me so stressed.
There was a from one of my DUIs I had to do one day, and it was supposed to be jail, but I did this work release thing over in Everett somewhere where I worked on a farm for a day. And so we
Right
get
on.
there.
That sounds like a
Yeah,
vacation.
it was
Okay, that worked
fantastic.
out great
Oh,
for you.
I loved it. It was great, and the people there were super sweet.
Officer Bacon.
Right, exactly. But so we all get checked in. There's like 7 or 8 of us there, and we get checked in, and all the dudes I was working with were all cool too. And one guy comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, I hit a pipe with some weed on the way to the bathroom, one of the horse stalls." I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Every time I go to the bathroom, there's like this little one-hitter pipe back there. And just like go back there, take a little hit, go to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm actually having a great day.
Okay,
It's
so
actually kind of nice.
So as a horse girl, I have to say the fact that there was fire in a barn is horse husbandry rule number 1.
You can't have a lighter on you?
Oh, absolutely not, because I mean you're just surrounded by tinder.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
and if a fire breaks out in the stalls, like the horses are fucked because you can't get them out.
Because they're just,
Well, yeah, and the door is like exactly that's what they sound like.
Well, I mean, how many fucking things like, come on, and the barn's fucking crashing
Yeah.
down. They're just yanking at the fucking thing like,
Right?
let's go. And the
They're
horse
Don't let
like,
the
frozen
sadness
in
take you.
Oh my
Artax.
god, we talked about Artax recently.
You got fucking in trouble for showing that at work.
You did.
Oh, you should
Yeah, it
have.
was with fucking. Oh yeah, you
That's
you
an
didn't work there.
emotional terrorist
that was,
move.
That was post you after you
Emotional
quit.
terrorist.
That is emotional
I showed that
terrorism.
scene, and Candace and Madison, shout out both of those lovely ladies, fucking got very upset.
It is
fuck
upsetting.
you, like legitimate, like
It's so
fuck
sad.
you, Robin,
It's
like looking
so
at
sad.
me. It is so
is.
sad. I'm like, oh my god, this is still so sad.
I like rewatched it, and it's sadder than I remember.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and it is
hurts.
so metaphor for like depression and like it's so
100%.
it's just like Artax.
Because now you realize how sad it is.
Yes.
Before it was like, oh, he lost his horse. Now you're like, no, that's like everything.
I had forgotten it was the sadness that took him, not the mud. Like in my brain, I was like, oh, it's the swamp that took him, but it's the swamp of sadness, and he didn't want to fight for his life anymore. And oh my God, he gave up his hope, and that's what took him.
Oh fuck! Is that what that's
yes,
about?
Man.
Oh my God,
it's because
that's sad.
Artax
why it's so sad.
And and his friend who saw his happiness and the way out, and even his friend tugging on the end of the reins, the sadness overtook even having someone loving him.
That is so fucked.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is why Candace and Madison were so fucking pissed.
So like that shit was sad back in the
suicide.
day, and I was like watching that.
It's a metaphor for suicide.
I was watching that shit, just going, God, this even out of context is really fucking sad.
Yes.
Just like that isolated. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Then hearing all this
It's
other.
so sad.
So fucking sad, dude.
You have to care.
God,
you have to want
that
to
shit
come.
fucked me up as a kid. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I'm gonna send that to my brother when I go.
Just that clip.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
yeah, I love that. That's good work.
I love you.
I love you. I love you. Watch this.
Man.
Aaron will appreciate that.
He will, totally.
Yeah, exactly. You notice I'm like, no offense to your other brother, but
you know exactly which one.
That's going to Aaron. That's going to Aaron.
You should be expecting a text from him soon. Their Astros are playing the Mariners soon.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna whoop our ass because that's what they do.
Me, so.
Yeah, I do talk shit to that man. Well, that exclusive list of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
It's very short list.
Exactly, Nancy Reagan talking about you.
But with like, okay, so with weed being legal in so many states now, we were kind of talking about this beforehand. The states that it's illegal in still are kind of leaning into the illegality of it instead of
like
just
those
like
border states on the other side of Colorado.
Yeah.
Like
Right?
those like I wouldn't want to
Texas
fucking.
is fucked, man.
I don't want to like. I know people that like do the drive, like the 2-hour drive to Colorado to stock up, which is exactly what you would do.
Right.
Hell yeah.
But it's just like I would be legitimately paranoid driving across those fucking borders with those out-of-state plates.
Well, I think it's
leaving
like,
Colorado, going to Nebraska. Or wherever the fuck,
for sure. You know that's like what they're looking for. But I feel like that same energy of like when someone says they're going to do something, and then you have person A says they're going to do something, and person B says, I think that's a terrible idea, and I think that's going to just work out awfully for you. And then person A does it, and it works out great, and people and things are going great. And then person B like digs in even deeper into their own no, rather than to be like, oh, I should change my mind about this.
That is a
I feel like that is what's happening to those states because they're all, I'm not going to say all those type of people, but a lot of people running those states are those like very conservative, like closed-minded individuals that instead of looking at evidence and being like, maybe I should rethink this, or like,
that was a really good.
This is even more proof that we're gonna really make it fucking hell for people that live here.
We talked earlier about how we're not good English majors and whatnot. I know that wasn't a haiku, but was that a metaphor?
Very well stated.
Very well. I don't know. That's my New York Times best-selling friend Lisa McCubbin. The next thing you know,
There you go. Hey, Lisa.
Yeah, just send her this audio. Was that a haiku that she said there? Is that a 575?
I feel like it was like an SAT test question. Like if person A says this, person B reacts this way.
So good.
Well, it's like those states. They're so closed-minded about potentially bringing in revenue tax-wise. You know, if you just want to look at it like that, bring in revenue to help their states. But they're so quick to also adopt.
They don't want to be wrong more than they want to be happy.
Right.
Or
so
they would rather feel right in their wrong.
Well, this is obviously a political podcast, so here we go.
Yeah,
but it's also like some of those quote states in question have no problem benefiting from the quote states that are more liberal and getting a lot of federal aid and money from those states.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times those states don't have the tax base to support the state themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So they should sell fucking weed, is my point.
Right, exactly. And the more that happens, it'll get legalized federally, and then so like right now, I don't know if it's still going on.
And then maybe we could try to get abortion back. You know, like
right,
once
you
a
know,
week goes
one thing at a time.
First,
so
then abortion. Okay.
So fucked. So
who would have thought we'd have to fucking have that conversation again?
I honestly, I thought we would, but I didn't think it would happen this quick.
Yeah.
No.
Which I guess I was holding out hope, but we'll see.
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
Fight on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you can do at this point.
Fight on.
Fight on.
Yeah.
That's what Betty Ford would do.
Ugh. But I was so I don't know if this is still the case with in Washington, but I knew a couple of people that opened some of the early weed shops up here. And this is in the early stages, and they were telling me that they had to pay double rent to the places for that was in their contract. So they paid rent on the books and they paid rent off the books because since marijuana wasn't federally legalized, people were afraid that if it got pulled that they would have to pay, they would lose all their money because the government would seize all the monies earned.
Right.
So they had that deal worked out. So so rent's $2,000, so you're going to pay me that twice every month. So these people that were going into this were already like taking a risk, but everybody knew that it was going to fucking get sold. Like people are like, this is going to work really well, right? Yeah. Put your money into it. So, but the risk reward was really, really high in the very beginning.
Well, from what I understand,
imagine the cash that those places have on hand, because
the biggest problem in now Washington State.
I don't know how to keep track of all that shit.
So you can use a debit card in California. You can use a debit card in Canada. But Canada's a different story. But Washington State is actually addressing this very thing because these shops are sitting ducks for all the fucking cash. They're getting robbed. A couple guys got killed. Uncle Ike's in Lake City gets robbed like
I was just going to say Uncle Ike's has to have a separate thing at the one in the CD. They have like a building across the street that's like the offices.
Wow.
Because it would make no sense to keep that kind of cash and weed
that's part of it, and they're trying to find a way to, because they need to involve the banks, so they're not doing that. But also you have a problem with this is all in the news now. This kind of, I won't say common knowledge, but weed shop owners in Washington State, the ones that can afford to, are paying for private security and having guns.
Yeah.
And which is literally like one of the weed shops I go to, there is a armed guard there at the door.
Right.
It's just like, fuck, okay, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
The ones in Capitol Hill are armed. But
see, and again, I admittedly live in, that particular one's just right off Aurora, so that doesn't shock me. But it's like I live in, Shoreline's not Capitol Hill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I'm over in Kirkland, and I don't see any.
Yeah.
Well, there's people sometimes like on peak times like checking IDs.
Yeah.
Like there's like a staff person there that looks like
person.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
But when I was down in California, I can't remember which area I was in, but the couple weed shops that I went to, I was not there. Not only was there a security guard, but I was patted down when I went in there too.
That's when I was talking about the sterileness of it. It was like you were going into like a government or police facility.
Yeah.
Like it was like a waiting area that both doors locked, and then you had to wait for the security guard on the other side to flag the one on the other side, and then they would let you through. So you were like trapped in that little box.
So airlock for a
and the Diego one, I was wearing a hat and sunglasses, and sunglasses make sense because like, hey man, sorry man, can you please leave that stuff in your car?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, oh yeah, shit, my bad. And then I had to go through all that, but they were definitely, and that's kind of not necessarily shocking. I mean, if you go to, especially in banks, they'll be like, hey, yo, no sunglasses, no hats and shit.
Yeah.
But it was
I'd go wrapped in a Snuggie.
Right. Totally, right?
No part of my body.
But now that you mention it, it was more like that.
Yeah,
now,
like it was way more intimidating to enter instead of the shops here that are like, hey man.
I admittedly, right? I mean, my outlook on weed shops has kind of changed a little bit since COVID, just because they had to kind of change the way they do it, and it was much more get in and get out, and that's kind of the way I am now anyway. So I don't less mess and fuss. I'm all for. So I don't need to be like, oh, what's that? And what's fucked up is what started this whole conversation is Reefer Madness, where if there was ever a place where you could be, well, what the fuck is that? It would be the weed shops now, where there's 800 choices. I mean, literally like 50 jars of shit.
And they love talking about that shit too.
Well, yeah, because they're bored. No offense. It seems like actually, might be pivot. But like being a weed tender is a pretty chill fucking job.
Totally, man. Sounds great.
I
sit around
almost
talking about weed all
applied.
day?
I had just gotten this dog walking job that's lasted
Think
for a
they
couple
drug
months.
test?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you have to be positive.
They get paid like $22 to $26 an hour,
Yeah.
included like tips included. But like to sit behind it, and they're always like in there singing or like fucking off. Like
I mean,
it's
you're
not
listening,
great customer service, but like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's fucking you wear your clothes and listen to Sublime all fucking
Fuck
day.
yeah, dude.
You know,
I'd work there in
It's
a
not
heartbeat.
bad.
it's basically, I mean, again, my favorite job was working at a fucking record store, but
Right,
that's
yeah.
even lower pay.
Yeah.
That's like an off-brand weed store, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. The weed
That's-
store before
That's
he was
that's
weed
It's like
see what's
store.
minor
funny
leagues.
is that's what all my friends who worked at record stores back in the day, they sold weed.
I was about to say I would go to the
Yep.
record store to buy weed.
It's off the market.
So funny.
I love that.
That's all stuff.
There was a documentary I watched the other day, and they were talking about the three causes or the three arguments for weed, right? For negativity, and it was can marijuana cause mental illness? Can it be used to treat mental illness? And is the way that we treat marijuana itself cause mental illness?
Interesting.
And so what they found was, does it cause mental illness? So the only time that they found any
Like depression?
yes, yeah, anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
schizophrenia,
Okay,
all that
yeah.
stuff. So the only time they found that, any time that there was anything they could really link to marijuana being any cause, was if you had if it was an adolescent with any predisposed mental conditions.
Yeah.
And even then, it was very like few and far between. Like there was like kind of a stretch to make the correlation. So like, does smoking too much weed cause any mental illnesses? No, not at all. Can it be used to treat mental illnesses? Yes, it can. Yeah, there's so many different.
I know friends that can't function without it. Like,
Yeah.
not in a bad way, but like their anxiety is
Definitely.
only manageable through just continued weed usage.
I mean,
Right, and
shock-
CBD too.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it
mean,
doesn't even need to be this
shocker,
THC.
you know, this panel is, definitely for it, but it definitely makes shit more palatable.
yeah.
Whatever that means. I mean,
Yeah.
Takes
a
the
lot of
edge
people,
off.
I mean, it's self-medicating at its base level. I don't usually like that terminology, but it definitely doesn't make my, doesn't make Pink Floyd sound shittier. It doesn't make my dinner worse.
Right.
My movie isn't fucking less entertaining. So like, that's kind of the whole point. I kind of put it as a seasoning of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and some people actually use it as a medicine also.
Yeah.
Like they use it to,
Like
for
Parkinson's.
cancer or
Legitimate,
Yeah.
legitimate
totally.
things. I mean, if push came to shove, I mean, before it was legal here, it was like, oh, well, you go to the doctor for $150 and get your yearly script where it's, my knee hurts, I mean, it is what it is.
I
mean,
had
you just-
way more negative side effects from medication.
I can't even imagine. I never
not
took any of the
Not to say,
shit.
like, this is not at all
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
broadcast to be
Okay,
like,
Tom
throw
Cruise.
out your medical pill,
Tom
like,
Cruise.
listen to doctors.
Tom Cruise,
But I'm just saying-
OT9, OT9.
That, like, exploring alternate things or in addition to, like, helped me more than just Prozac or
Yeah.
whatever,
Definitely.
And
I mean, and now there's so many different types of plant medicines out there that can help with all the mental illnesses that we've been finding, like microdosing with different types of, psychotropic medicines can help. Microdosing with THC can really help, not just sitting there and like roasting bowls like I like to do.
Right,
But
yeah.
you can just like have a little bit of a hit or a
Yeah.
controlled amount that's on a tablet or something
well,
like
and
that.
I think it helps you get into that like meditative, quieted mind state, which is where my anxiety gets released from. So I'm almost even like, does weed do that, or weed makes it me access that part of my brain that calms me?
Yeah.
It just opens that door a little wider than if
Yeah.
I were to,
Well, and why the hell not? I mean, we're in a world where we're so bombarded with things that make us anxious and
Yeah.
depressed, and all the things that really trigger us. So we need to look at the things that are around us that we can help us.
And my God,
like
truly
plant
the
medicines are
only
fucking great with
natural medicine out there. Like, it is, and for everyone that's like, oh, it's a gateway drug. I was doing coke way before I was enjoying weed.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
way before. And I never smoked weed
See,
until I
that's
moved
that,
to, like,
that's
Seattle.
that's pretty funny. That's a very awesome anecdote. I was doing coke way before I was doing
Way
it.
before.
I was the reverse, but I think when we did the other weed podcast, I think you and I were talking about it being a gateway drug, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's bullshit. but it was for me. And I'm like, Adam said, yeah, I think it's bullshit, but it was for me.
Well, that was the
was
first
not for
thing
me.
that I did that was like changed my mind, that altered my mind. You
Yeah.
know? But something was going to start.
Yeah.
You know. But I was going to ask you. I know your answer would be no. But have you ever had cacao as a drink?
The chocolate stuff? Like, I've had, like, cacao bits and things like that, but not, like...
The ceremonial.
No.
Okay, so there's a ceremonial drink, cacao. That's the cacao bean. It's made from the cacao bean, so unrefined, unprocessed.
Coffee or chocolate.
Yeah, and so it's from South America, somewhere in there. But they take the beans, make paste out of it, and then you make drinks from that. And it's this beautiful...
Can I also snort it?
Probably, yeah. Why not?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
Do a
it's
gummer first.
yeah. But we so you make a drink with it, and you can make it with just water and the cacao. Put in like spices, like cinnamons and tahini and things like that, and like, make it really spicy. But you drink it, and it's such a beautiful. It's a heart-opening medicine. And so you have this like the ceremony's beautiful around it. We're inviting in spirits and all those things.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ritual around it, and then the medicine itself is just like such a beautiful experience.
I would like to try that. Will that also make me throw up?
I don't think so. It's
I'd
not
like to try that.
psychedelic or anything.
Okay.
It's more of a more of like a just mood stabilizing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I'd be
it's really
interested
great.
in that if there's anybody out there that do you know.
Oh, I have it here.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yes, let's do that.
Yeah, totally.
I would love to do that.
Awesome.
Cool. Cacao day.
Yeah, right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other day I had a woman on my podcast that does cacao rituals, and we've had 3 pounds of that cacao from Guatemala for almost a year now, and I was like, you know what?
Let's break it open.
I've had a cup every day now, and it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful experience.
It's like it's not psychic. So like I could take it in the morning and then not
course.
have it affect my.
Be just fine.
fuck
I
yeah.
had one
You'll be
2 hours ago.
You'll be
Had a cup
finger
2 hours ago.
painting
Let's
by
do
noon.
it.
Yeah.
Finger painting.
Dancing over in the K-shop. Oh, she's on her cacao dance.
She's on the switchboards. Watch out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's set that up.
Fuck
All right.
yes.
Yeah, and listeners out there, get you some cacao. It's beautiful.
Cacao.
Cacao.